Alright, Starnowski. This is called graphing using the intercepts. We have an equation in standard form, 2x plus 3y equals 6. When we're asking for the intercepts, we're actually asking for where this line crosses both the y-axis as well as the x-axis. To solve that, we simply have to substitute 0 in for one of the values to find out what the other coordinate is. So we'll start off with first substituting 0 in for x. So we substitute 0 in, and then we go ahead and solve this equation. Obviously, 2 times 0 equals 0, and then we're left with 3y equals 6. And to finish this out, 3y equals 6, we got to divide, because we want to isolate the y, so we're going to divide it by 3. Whatever we do one side, we got to do it to the other side. 3 over 3 cancels out, so we're left with y equals, and then 6 divided by 3 is simply 2. So the y-intercept is an ordered pair, 0, 2. That is the y-intercept. Now to find out the x-intercept, we substitute 0 in for where we see y in the equation. So in this case, it would be 2x plus 3 times 0 equals 6. Obviously, they cancel out to 0, so I'm left with 2x equals 6. And now I need to get rid of that 2, so it's 2 times x, so I do an equal but opposite operation, which is division. So I need to divide it by 2, and whatever I do one side, I got to do the other side. So I'm left with x equals 3. And the x-intercept in this case is 3, 0, because remember, my ordered pairs is always x, y. So graphing using the intercept method is I'll go and mark a point on 0, 2. So I go start at the origin 0, and then I go up 2 units, 1, 2. So there's a point right there. And then my other point is 3, 0. So again, I begin at the origin, and I go over x units in the positive direction 3, and up 0. So I make a point there, and obviously I'll do my best to connect these into a straight line, and it should look something like, close enough. You get the gist of it. So that's how I graph an equation using the intercept method. So to find out the intercepts, you substitute 0 in for one of the values and solve for y, and then substitute 0 in for the y value and solve for x. You get your 2 ordered pairs, plot them, and connect the dots. And that's how we do that. All right. All right, here we're asked to put an equation into slope-intercept form, which is basically solving for y. Right now, this equation is in what's called standard form, which is the ax plus the by equals c. It's in standard form. To put it into slope-intercept form, we're looking to put it into the form of y equals mx plus b, where m represents the slope and b represents the y-intercept. That's the slope. So in order to do this, you notice from this equation what we need to do is we need to isolate our y variable by itself on one side and everything else on the other side. So to go back to our original equation, what we're going to do, we take our 2x plus our 3y equals 6. Since we need to isolate the y, we're going to try to get rid of this variable, the 2x. And the way we get rid of the 2x on the left side is we simply need to subtract it out. So whatever we do to one side, we got to do it to the other side, subtract out a 2x. Well, these two cancel out, so I'm left with a 3y. Now, notice the 6 and the negative 2x, I cannot combine because they are unlike terms. So I want to put actually, believe it or not, I want to put the 2x right next to the other side of the equal sign and check back the 6. The 6 is a positive 6, so it would be the same as if I add 6. Now, it would be true to be okay to have the 2x after the 6, but understand slope-intercept form, I'm trying to get the x right on the other side of the equal sign to the y, so that's why I'm going to put the x in that place. And now, if you take a look at it, I'm close. I have the y's on the left side and everything else on the right side, but I still have this 3. I need to get rid of the 3. And it's saying 3 times y, so the way I get rid of that 3 is the equal but opposite operation of multiplying something by 3 is dividing it by 3. Now, whatever I do to one side, I got to do to everything on the other side. So obviously the 3's cancel out to 1, so I'm left with y equals a negative 2/3 x plus 6 over 3. And 6 over 3 can be simplified into negative 2/3 x plus 2. And now that I'm in slope-intercept form, I'm able to perform some operations or look at some interesting stuff. since I'm down to a single y value, I can see that this number right here represents my m, or my slope, and this represents my y-intercept, according to the graph up here. So I have a slope of -2/3, and I have a y-intercept of 2. So I can actually graph this equation by simply first looking at the y-intercept. I know it crosses the y-axis at a value of 2, so I go to 0, and I go up 2 units, and that's where it crosses the y-intercept. And my slope here is -2/3. So if I start at my y-intercept, and I know my next point on the line is going to have a slope of -2/3. So remember, I have for my slope, it's rise over run. So my rise in this case, -2, is basically going down 2 units. So I go down 2 units, and then I need to run over or go over in the x direction 3 units. And that puts me right there, and I can continue this whole idea with the slope down 2 and over 3, and I can make a series of dots, and they will all lie on the line, because remember, every point on the line has the same slope, and I can connect these dots, and I would have the graph of the equation of the original equation of 2x plus 3y. So that's how I can graph a formula that's in slope-intercept form. Okay, now we're interested in finding the slope between 2 points. Here I have the point 2, 5 and 9, 3. Remember, whenever I have an ordered pair, my ordered pairs are always in the value x, y. So this corresponds to my x coordinate. This corresponds to my y coordinate. X coordinate, y coordinate. Here is a formula for finding the slope between 2 lines. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, in terms of which one is y2 and which one is y1, believe it or not, it doesn't matter as long as you match up the y2 and the x2 together. So let's go ahead and start with these guys. We'll call these guys x2 and y2. And therefore, that means this is going to be my x1, and this will be my y1. So I go ahead and put them together. So my y2 is 3 minus 5 over 9 minus 2. And when I do my math, it gives me a -2 over a +7. So my slope in this case is -2/7. Now notice, that's when we use this. But what if I say, all right, just for giggles, I said, all right, this is my x1. Well, then this has to be my y1 coordinate. And this is would be my x2, and this would be my y2 then. Let's see what we get in that case. Well, in that case, my y2 is 5 minus 3 over 2 minus 9. So in this case, I get a +2 over a -7. Well, guess what? That is still the same as a -2/7. So it doesn't matter which one I choose. I'm still going to get the same slope, as long as whichever one I choose is my 2's have to stay together, and whichever one I choose my 1's have to stay together. Now let's say we have different coordinates. Let's say we'll use, say, 2, 5 this time, and we have a -4, 1 as the other ordered pair. Again, this would be my x, this would be my y, x and y. So I plug these guys in. I'm going to call these my x2's, my y2's, and I'll use these as my 1's. Again, as we showed in the example before, it really doesn't matter. So my y2 is 1 minus the quantity 5 over -4 minus the 2. And that comes out to be -4 over the quantity -6. So together, this ends up being a negative over negative, ends up being a positive 4/6 or 2/3. So that would be my answer in that case, using the negative value. Alright, now we're asked to find the equation of a line when we're given a slope and a point. In this particular problem, we give you the slope. The slope in this case is 1/2, and it passes through the point 2, 4. So the question is, we need to find out the equation of a line. Well, the best way we can write the equation of a line is we want to put it in the slope-intercept form, which again is y equals mx plus b. So that's the form we're going to put it in. Well, look what we already have. It says it gives us the m right here, the slope, so we can already plug that in. We know it's going to be y equals 1/2 x plus b. So the question is now the other missing variable in this case is the b. We want to find out the b, and remember what the b represents. It represents the y-intercept. Well, the way we can find the b, the y-intercept, is he also gives us an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to substitute this x-coordinate in for wherever we see the x, and we're going to substitute this y-coordinate for everywhere we see the y. And look what happens when we substitute it in. Now I'm only left with one variable, the b, so I'm able to solve for b. So I'm going to make my substitution in. I have 4 for my y value equals 1/2 times the quantity 2 for the x value up there, plus my b, my mystery guest. And when I do my math here, I got 4 equals 2 over 2 plus b, or simply 4 equals 1 plus b. Isolate the variable, so I need to get rid of this 1, so I need to subtract it. Whatever I do one side, I got to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm left with 3 equals b, which tells us what? This tells us that our y-intercept has a value of 3. So when I go back to find the equation of the line, I put it back into y equals, now my m we know we have is 1/2. My x is my x, and now I found out the b value. The b value in this case is 3, so it's going to be plus 3. So there is the equation of a line that passes through a point 2, 4 and has a slope of 1/2. So all it is through is straight substitution through. Alright, this time we're asked to find the equation of a line when given 2 points. In this case, the 2 points are 1, -2 and 5, 6. Remember, this is my x value, y value, x value, y value. And to put in the equation of a line, again, we're looking to put it into slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. And just a reminder, whenever we put in slope-intercept form, m always represents a number and b represents a number, while my x and my y remain x and y. So I'm looking to put a number in for the slope, and I'm looking to put a number in for the b value, which is our y-intercept. So the question is, all I'm given is 2 points, so how do I go about doing this? Well, the first thing is, when given 2 points, we're able to find out the slope between the 2 points, and that's one of the numbers we need to find out, is the slope. So remember, to find a slope between 2 points, we use the y2 minus the y1 over the x2 minus the x1. So in this case, I'll use my second, I'll call these my x2, y2, and x1, y1. So I substitute those values in, and I get 6 minus a -2 over the quantity 5 minus 1. So 6 minus a -2 ends up being 8 over the quantity 4, which is simply equals out to 2. So 2 essentially equals my slope. I have a slope of 2, so I can put that in right now because I know that's going to be part of the equation. So now I have y equals 2x plus b. And again, so what I'm looking for now is I got my m value, but now I'm looking for my b value. And again, I do this by substituting in one of these points. I have the slope. I need to substitute either this x and this y into the equation, and I can get the value. And believe it or not, it doesn't matter. I can also substitute this x and this y into the equation. I'll get the same answer. And I'm just going to choose this, the 5, 6, because that's what I started off with. So I had the y value, in this case, according to this ordered pair, is 6 equals 2 times the quantity, in this case x is 5, plus b. So I have 6 equals 2 times 5 is 10, plus b. And I subtract my 10. Whatever I do one side, I got to do the other side. Again, the reason I'm subtracting is I'm trying to solve for b, isolate my b. So I end up with a -4 equals b. So the equation that I have now come up with is y equals my slope m, in this case is 2x, and now I just found out my b, it's a -4, so instead of being plus b, it's going to be -4. And again, I could have chose these 2 points. In fact, we'll do that. If I chose the other ordered pair, I would have a y value of -2 equals the quantity, the slope is still 2, but in this case the x value is a 1 plus b. And I would go about solving this. Again, -2 equals 2 plus b. Subtract the 2, whatever I do one side, I got to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm left with -4 equals b. So you can see I still get the same value for b. So it doesn't matter which order pair I substitute in, it's still going to give me the same value of b. But the trick is to make sure you put your final answer into slope-intercept form. where y is always y, x is always x, but my slope is always a number, and my b is always a number.